Well, you know, it's curious. When I started dealing with people and relationships and in kind of in a more pedagogical way, I started working with projects as a research assistant where schools had to cooperate virtually throughout Europe. And I found that fascinating. And when then the opportunity came to be involved in virtual facilitation with adults in business environments, I found that it was a normal and natural continuation of my initial work. Well, the main difference will be that in face-to-face, you have the people there, so you see them, and you can even physically be more in contact with them. While in virtual facilitation, you have to make an extra effort to make sure that they are there, they are paying attention, and you pay attention to each of them, and that you can engage them properly. The main benefits, I think, is self-evident in a way. I mean, you can train virtually anywhere. You don't need a big room. You don't need people to travel. You don't need to make reservations in hotels. You don't need one whole week to do a program. You can split it up in little chunks, and people have more flexibility to integrate that during their working days without having the hassle of traveling, etc. Now, the constraint is again, the fact that not being with the people, you have to make an extra effort to engage them so that they are really attentive and participating. Well, you have to make the session very interactive. Not very long also, so that you have to divide it in bits and pieces, that people can walk a bit, aerate, get some oxygen, otherwise they fall almost asleep sitting in front of the computer. But this is what you have to do. Keep the interaction going through exercises, using platforms that can allow you to use common blackboards, breakout rooms, just as if you were in a real classroom, and people can exchange more directly. It is taking a lot of energy, even though you would say, well, you're sitting in front of the computer, how can it be tiring? It takes energy because you make the effort of engage the people individually and also as a group, so that you have to interpret all the signals, you have to be 150% aware of what is going on in the virtual classroom. And yeah, that's what mainly is. You cannot see, you have to listen. And you have to interpret every signal you have and be explicit about things and expectations. Whatever examples I'm giving are here based on my experience in virtual training. And it's funny to see how participants react, because initially they're kind of tentative when they're not familiar with the environment, so they're there not knowing what will happen. And it is your task as a trainer to first excite their curiosity and also normalize the whole thing so that they are not feeling threatened or vulnerable. So they start very calm, and then when they realize that calmness I cannot interpret, then they start, because I engage them, start participating more. Openness, I would say. Openness and flexibility, and coming with an optimistic approach, because if they come expecting nothing or something that is not rewarding, well, then they are starting with a negative attitude already, while if they are at least curious, that's all I want. Virtual teams have big challenges ahead, because the globalization is imposing more and more collaboration between people that are spread out throughout the world, and not only physically but also through time zones. And this adds another difficulty. What they will need to do is, and some of them are already doing, is learning to develop strong relationships of trust and collaboration so that the work can be more efficient. Tasks can be divided, and people can trust that the others will do what is expected of them. And the other thing that for me is key is that you don't leave anything to the imagination, in the sense that you are explicit in what you expect, in what you ask people to do, and in setting the rules. Don't leave space for assumptions. The future of virtual training, I see it as very prosperous and promising. Imagine, maybe not for everything, because in some courses you would like to have physical presence of people, but for courses that are, I would say, more flexible and that you can split in small bits and pieces, it would save a lot of money. Okay, it's much more flexible in the structure you can apply, and it can adapt better to the requirements of the audience in terms of location, because the location is everywhere. It could be also a complement to larger initiatives of face-to-face trainer, so you can combine the two. It could also have follow-on coaching if you are dealing with leaders. So there's plenty of possibilities for virtual training.